Members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus held their first in-person meeting, and there was some serious drama between the Trump loyalists and some of the Republicans who have actually been a little more outspoken against Donald Trump. They might be outspoken against him, but they still vote for him or vote with him 97% of the time. So, according to Politico, Representative Jim Jordan of Ohio, a Freedom Caucus co-founder and one of Trump's top allies, said Liz Cheney's recent rebukes of Trump, which have focused on Trump's handling of the coronavirus, his Twitter rhetoric, and his foreign policy, were not helpful. And then Representative Andy Biggs of Arizona, the head of the Freedom Caucus, even accused Cheney of undermining the GOP's ability to win back the House, and said that if someone has a problem with Trump, if someone has a problem with my daddy, they should keep it to themselves. Anyway, so they were specifically referring to a tweet that Liz Cheney put out on May 12th. And it was a tweet in support of some of the advice that Anthony Fauci gives, to keep people alive in the middle of this deadly pandemic. She says, Dr. Fauci is one of the finest public servants we have ever had. He is not a partisan. His only interest is saving lives. We need his expertise and his judgment to defeat this virus. All Americans should be thanking him every day. Just a quick reminder though, that Liz Cheney is a terrible person. She might have some issues with Trump, but she does vote with him 97% of the time. And if there is a war on a boat or a war on a goat, she will be in favor of it. She will definitely push for it. She's not someone that I admire in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I love seeing two groups of Republicans fight with one another over someone as ridiculous and toxic as Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, 97% is pretty good, but have you heard of 100%? I mean, Saddam Hussein did rig elections so he could get 97% of the vote. That's not sufficiently impressive. It has to be absolute ironclad loyalty. It's so ridiculous, the fights. What I do find interesting about the fights is not necessarily one side or the other, but what it indicates about what they see for the future, that Matt Gaetz and Jordan and the others, they do appear at present to still think that their only chance of doing the things they say they want to do, like maintain their House majority and all of that, is to stick with Donald Trump. I mean, I guess we've been sort of hoping that maybe that will change. I know Cenk, I don't know exactly what his prediction is, but it has to do with them eventually sort of breaking ranks. If that's to happen, it doesn't appear that for some of them it's happened yet. If they're still willing to, like badmouth her through an entire press cycle. We know in the past, they literally booted people out of the party for being willing to criticize him. And by the way, let's just acknowledge how ridiculous the reason is. It's that she had good things to say about Dr. Fauci, who, let's bear in mind, is not a CNN host. He's a Trump administration official. Trump managed against all odds to find someone and put them in a position where they did their job and the American people trusted them. He hasn't ever done that before. This is the first time, and he decides, no, I want that guy to be my enemy. I'm gonna push him to the side. Everyone has to hate him. The one guy that the American people actually like that I've hired. What a stupid, self-defeating position. He should have been hugging up on social distance and all that, but hugging up with masks as much with Dr. Fauci as he possibly could have imagined. I mean, he should have done a lot of stuff, but even just strictly pragmatically for his own political future, he should be doing campaign commercials with Dr. Fauci. Why make a villain of the one person that had crossover appeal? What a stupid person he is.
I'll tell you why, John. Why? Because hydroxychloroquine, try it. It's great. I don't even remember what he said after that, but like just probably the weird, breathy, like whispering into the hydroxychloroquine. Try it. He's so weird. He's such a weird person, an evil person. I'm gonna fast forward to the moment Matt Gaetz enters this little tiff happening among the GOP. So Matt Gaetz, who might actually end up being forced to resign because he's caught up in some financial scandals of his own. That story's developing. We'll give you more details on that later. Is now calling for Liz Cheney to resign. So Matt Gaetz tweets the following: Cheney has worked behind the scenes and now in public against Donald Trump and his agenda. House Republicans deserve better as our conference chair. Liz Cheney should step down or be removed, hashtag MAGA. God, what a.
Cause she, she didn't, it wasn't a big vote that she tanked. It's like
she voted with Trump 97% of the time. Come on. Man, can you imagine if leftists had this kind of loyalty to one another where they're just like, no, we work together. We don't criticize each other publicly. We're allied. We might work out our differences behind this, which by the way, to be honest with you, I actually want, because we need to be stronger. And we need to, be in a very, we need to solidify as a group to get some actual work done. But it's just amazing how the smallest amount of disagreement, tiny amount of disagreement leads to this kind of war behind the scenes. And when Cheney was asked about it by the press, she decided to immediately deflect and make it about Democrats. So we have a video on that. Let's just quickly watch.
Thomas Massie and I had a nice long talk yesterday. We're in a good place. I made the point actually that President Trump was harder on Thomas Massie than I was. But I think that, as I said, we have a different set of differing opinions in our conference. I think that's a good thing. I think that if you look, for example, at what the Democrats do, you have a situation where, they believe in the cancel culture. They're trying to ensure that only people who believe a certain set of things are allowed to speak. They want to erase our history. And I think on our side of the aisle, it's a healthy thing for us to have those kinds of debates and discussions. I'm sure we'll have more as things go along, but the fundamental point here is that we're unified in making sure that President Trump is reelected in November, that Nancy Pelosi is no longer Speaker, that we take back the majority in the House, and that we ensure that we hold the majority in the Senate.
So three things happen in that video. Number one, Republican Representative Thomas Massie under that bus. Is this story about me? No, not me. Thomas Massie's way tougher on Trump. Go after Thomas Massie. Secondly, that video proves what I said earlier. She's a bad person. There's no question about it. Because she immediately pivots to and deflects to making it about Democrats and how they're supposedly trying to erase our history, which we all know that's nonsense, and it's just a way for her to pivot the discussion into something that might make her feel a little more comfortable. But yeah, Liz Cheney, I see you. You've worked in organizations with Bill Kristol. You guys have pushed for needless wars, including the never-ending war in Iraq, Afghanistan, just terrible people. And so I love seeing them fight one another like this. Let's keep egging them on. It's awesome.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.